The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And it is a Thursday, April the 6th in the year 2023. If you'd like to send us an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And we're coming to you around the world tonight on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, the X Zone Broadcast Network, and on Channel 32 Simul TV, which is the X Zone TV channel. And to watch the X Zone TV channel 724 365, visit www.simultv.com. X Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Dr. Richard Alan Miller, and he has lifelong extensive experiences in the field of physics, metaphysics, and agriculture. And these are just a few of the doctor's accomplishments, to say the very least. Joining me now is Dr. Richard Alan Miller. And Dr. Miller, welcome back, Rich.
Thank you.
Now, before we went on air, you were telling me that you had some very earth-shaking news to share with our audience tonight.
Well,
please go ahead.
Where do I begin? You need some history.
Yeah.
Every 12,000 years, there appears to be an event that occurs, near extinction event occurs. Every 12,000 years, you can go into archaeology and anthropology, and you can see the soil variations, like something happened here.
Right.
But we don't really know because we haven't been there, and there wasn't anybody to record it.
Right.
So it's basically on physics and geography and those kinds of things. Well, back in the early 70s, right after I started working with MRU, after Seal Corp, there was a thing in Ostrander and Schroeder's books, Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain, that led me to Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. And I ended up at Prague meeting a man named Embryonic, who had written a book on the lunar sex cycle of the female. Now, basically, he said that when a woman is born, an engram is put on her DNA on when she ovulates, and it changes with the phase of the moon. That means that if she moves from where she was born to another part of the earth, that ovulation cycle changed, and that gave us a new concept in our definition of space, like we have with time. That's awkward to realize that all physics begins with assumptions. We're not, and it's only as good as our assumptions are.
Sure.
Like the shortest distance between 2 points and the Earth's round. But if space is curved, I can prove that the Earth is flat. Which one is it? Its correct answer is yes, because our concept of space is like that of time. It's nebulous, from St. Augustine saying time is a duration of consciousness. It's the way you store memory. It isn't real. Neither is space. And so this new term, cosmobiology, came out based on the new definition of what space is called. It will be the geometric alignment of celestial bodies. When it was astrology, people felt that Uranus was a higher octave of Earth. When it became astronomy, as the way we understood it, there was no known laws on how any way that Uranus could in any way impart any action on the Earth. No known laws in terms of, radiation and things like that. However, using a 360 computer at the University of Washington, I went back in history to vet and came up with a 3 sigma error coefficient on an event occurring with a certain type of geometric alignment of the celestial bodies, which, by the way, is right now. There are 5 bodies that are in alignment. They occur periodically through our history. This specific alignment doesn't occur except every 12,000 years. And whether or not this means it's going to happen or not, I don't know. But I'm about as good as it gets in terms of, working from the physics model point of view. And 3 sigma means there's a 99.9975% probability of this event occurring. And so what last winter, the Parker dive into the heliosphere was to determine the solar minimum that was going to happen, which is a regular clockwork thing, pretty much like the moon is on our phases, except that the solar minimums vary slightly differently as well as the phase of moons. Like you have a blood moon and a harvest moon, and sometimes they're way out there, and sometimes the moon's closer with the full moon. Basically, what we've determined is there will be an event in June that will put everybody on edge, because the actual event will then occur in late March or early April of 2024. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but the military, the people I work with in the Navy, are seriously taking my work very carefully, because I've always been pretty dead on things I did like that. I'm here to say that I don't know that it's going to happen, but basically on the West Coast, Mauna Loa will go off, because that's what these X-bands, we've had 15 X-bands off the sun since January. This never in history, recorded history, have we ever had anything of that event. One of which was the size of Fukushima that caused Fukushima to go off.
Mm-hmm.
That has occurred 3 times, and then we had one March 28th or the 30th, somewhere right around there. A huge burst, never, ever experienced before. And these X-bands are causing the core of Earth to stop spinning. Now, that has happened several times this century already, so that's not as big a deal as the fact that the X-bands coming off are of such quantity and such depth that it may cause our core to spin, when it's stopped, to spin in the opposite direction, which means we have a pole shift. Magnetic.
Which means from positive to negative, it would be negative to positive.
That's correct. Magnetic pole shift.
Right.
What that would do, possibly, knock on wood, hope not, hope, of course, is the last deal in Pandora's box. What will happen is then the Earth will slow down and begin to also rotate in the opposite direction. And if and when that happens, you can expect a near extinction event. Wow. And it'll be Mauna Loa on the West Coast. That's the one I'm keying on right now. When Mauna Loa goes off, it'll set off that volcano out in the ocean between Hawaii and I guess it's near Wairika, California. There's a volcano out in the ocean. It doesn't even have a name. And yet, when that volcano goes off, it's going to shift the plate 5 degrees. And everything west of I-5 on the interstate is gone in 4 hours. There'll be geographical changes. You can expect them up in Ontario as well because of the Great Lakes.
Sure.
That whole region, according to our calculations, this occurs, will go underwater. And the United States and parts of Canada will be split in half.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I didn't know if I should talk about this.
Oh, why not? Why not?
Well, because there's not much you can do except hold hands and watch the big wave come in New York City, or be like Woody Carlson sitting there. They bring it on.
That's right. Yeah.
Have you seen what happened at Yellowstone?
Yeah.
They have discovered a new kind of gas that's coming out of a super volcano with a big boil. That goes off and everything's a mess. And that's a hydrogen. What is it? I've got that. It's a helium-4 gas just discovered. And it goes downhill from there. Everything I'm finding is pointing to an event occurring.
Well, wait a
And
second.
yes,
Wait a second, Richard. Helium-4, isn't that one of the elements found on the moon, and that's why they want to go to the moon, is to mine helium-4?
well, there's a lot of different things. You got pluses and minuses, like you do with fullerenes. You put structured water inside it, and you've got an antioxidant that'll reduce radiation poisoning. However, if you put deuterium inside it, now you have building 7. You understand what I just said? That's in one of my chapters in the non-local mind. I talk about what building 7 was an experiment during 9/11 using Lockheed's teleportation laser. Instead of putting structured water in it, which reduces radiation, if they did studies on rats and found that lethal doses of radiation could be cured using structured water in a microtubule. They call them fullerenes. But if you don't use structured water, which is H2O3, hydrogen peroxide with an extra oxygen molecule coming in it, you use deuterium, now you have a neutron fullerene fusion bomb. And that's what dropped building 7. And that's documented with patents, the whole thing. Lockheed with their teleportation lasers, they could go inside the molecule and set off the deuterium. The thing that's concerning me is that even if none of this happens, the Mexican cartels are controlling our borders now down in the south. And Texas has already told Biden that they're leaving the union this year because he didn't do anything about the cartels. And California are in leagues with China, which owns California. And watch what happens to your food now.
These are strange and very dangerous times, my friend.
That's correct. And I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't have a crystal ball. I have my gut. And I can tell you that just from what I sense, I don't know. I'm hoping not, but I hope. I don't want to go there. I want to know. And the bad news is, and this is where it gets real creepy, I could make an argument that we're in a petri dish. And we haven't even begun to understand what's really going on. Let me give you that metaphor. This is going to open your eyes a little bit. I remember when I was working Navy intelligence, before Roswell kind of thing, when we had little green men. Now we have a whole host of different colors, including grays and reticulin and Nephilim and so on. I did a PBS series a while back where they interviewed me on the Nephilim skull that was found in Pennsylvania in 1810, I think it was. He dug up this huge skull, and that the Navajo have at Shiprock when they have legends about giant cannibals that ate man. And I don't know about that. What I do know is I saw the photo of the skull before it was sent to the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian doesn't have that skull. What happened to it? That's what PBS wanted me to interview on. And my best guess was, looking back, that was about the time Joseph Smith began his journey to Utah. And that Baptist minister dogged his way all the way to Utah trying to get his flock back during that period, 1812, that's so on. And what basically happened was his 2 sons were running the Smithsonian at that time, and I think they were trying to vet his father on religion based on close encounter, because that's about the first time it started, and probably dumped that skull in the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, just to vet their father. I don't know that. That was my take on it. You understand?
I do, my friend. Richard, we've got to take a break. Please stand by. And Exonation, our guest this hour is Dr. Richard Alan Miller. Wow.
I told you it was going to go that way.
Well, you know what, Richard? I believe that people need to know the truth, and that's why I'm happy that you're.
This is. I don't want to. I'm a scientist.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I want to give them direction. Yeah.
Stand by, Richard. We've got to take a break. We'll be back on the other side of this break with Dr. Richard Alan Miller as the X-Zone continues right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Question: what is the name of the unique blend of coffee you get that has been formulated by a neurologist, a neurobiologist, and a pharmaceutical chemist? Answer: you get Beautiful Mind Coffee, a unique coffee blend that tastes great and has herbal ingredients that your brain will love, and it is not just coffee, it's brainalicious. Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, the scientific team that created Beautiful Mind Coffee, decided to collaborate on a coffee focusing on brain health. As for those herbal ingredients found in Beautiful Mind Coffee, Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, utilizing their combined extensive scientific research background, worked with many natural and herbal products until the exact formulation that is found in Beautiful Mind Coffee was created. With a unique scientific formula not found in any other coffee being sold or served, Beautiful Mind Coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Every cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee contains scientifically formulated amounts of maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng, all supporting good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Did you know that cognitive dysfunction also refers to deficits in attention, verbal and non-verbal learning, short-term and working memory, visual and auditory processing, problem-solving, processing speed, and motor functioning? For more on Beautiful Mind Coffee, the 3 scientists who formulated Beautiful Mind Coffee, and more details on the 3 unique herbal ingredients in Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available online at amazon.ca and amazon.com. To order Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca today.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our guest this hour. His website is richardallenmiller.com. Dr. Miller, when will we know, or what signs should we look for that what you're talking about tonight has started?
Yeah, there should be some warning event sometime in June. You're going to hear more about X-bands coming off the sun. You're going to hear more about how they affect volcanoes. You're going to hear about volcanoes going off all over the world. And as that crescendo increases, then people are going to start to panic because, we're going to have geographical changes. Remember, the last one connected Russia with Canada. So, there you are. Who knows what's going to happen? I can guess, but,
Where did Russia connect with Canada, sir?
Up near Alaska. That whole connection was connected at one time. It was
I see. Where the Bering Sea is.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the landmass that people believe that people migrated from Asia into Canada, and that's the origin, I believe, of the Eskimos in northern Canada, as well as some.
Well, you had natives up there too. The American Indian and some of the others were settled in there.
Right.
Northern Cheyenne have been in their location for centuries.
So this is hard to fathom, but I don't doubt you one bit.
Well, here's the other part of it. I have a diary entry that I made. I keep a daily diary, which, by the way, I recommend as a way to get in touch with your internal self. That's, it's self-realization. And I'm currently a Hermetic Kabbalist on path 13 on death, which is a temporary thing in Kabbalah. It's, it's like a little stone that nobody sees under a roaring sea, where you leap over onto the rock to leap over to the other side. It's temporary. It's the only place in the tree where knowledge has actually become wisdom. And I don't know what that all means, because I'm just, a high priest in knowledge, but not wisdom. I'm just a young kid. And okay, so my diary entry goes something like this. When Ask AI came out, I went, wait a minute, that's not Google anymore. That's the idea that when you ask a question to Google, you get a whole array of possibilities.
Right.
Ask AI only gives you one answer. And that's because it gives you the answer you were looking for. Now, what do you think that's going to do? Well, Kurzweil talks about the singularity, 2047. And when, mankind essentially, that, by the way, has been moved up to 2027. And that's when the U.S. government no longer exists, according to the people I work with. And there's going to be chaos because China owns California now, all their ports. China owns 40% of Oregon, and I'm not even going to talk about the state of Washington, where I grew up. I had at one time thought I was going to move into the Okanagans and hide out up in Canada, probably around 100 Mile House or some way like that, BC. And now, with requiring jab, which they've already, basically, we have two races on the earth right now. We have Homo sapien and Homo GMO, and both could be seen as extinct species, like Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal. And because the Neanderthal or Homo GMO is leaking, they're going to kill off what remains of Homo sapien, Cro-Magnon. And both are extinct in the worldviews of what I'm doing as a model. And that's because and this is just a metaphor now, what if the future is Homo mutant, and they're even as more ruthless as you can imagine compared to what we have now for our management in the earth? Now, if that's true, why would they want to dumb us down like they're doing with education and our children? When I went to grade school, when I was still in the Philippines till third grade, in second grade, I learned Latin. Sum est sunt. Now, why do they no longer offer shopping, leaving no kid behind? And look at what they're doing in Oregon. Our new governor is openly gay. What do you think she's going to do with our primary education? There's enough problems right now trying to do gender to figure out what's going on with the veil of ISIS, and who knows what that all means. So what I'm going on this is, supposing the future is so ruthless that, well, Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal are extinct, why don't we just put them in a matrix and have them dumb them down over a period of time, which is illusion, and make them mine gold for our Dyson sphere needs, as a metaphor. Now, with that said, that sounds like a good sci-fi script, doesn't it?
It does.
That's what I did, yeah. I wrote early X-Files too. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I did the workup, and I did the first 8 episodes, and I refused to move to Hollywood. That's why they brought Carter in and used me on set as an expert. I'm the real Fox Mulder. Why? Bernard Shercliffe was my editor, a literary agent, and taught me how to write a screenplay. I did it with my weirdness and physics, and out came the PsyOps team. That was my first workup. It had 8 individuals, including Iron Claw was my tracker, like I used to use when I did things after Bigfoot and Wendigo and all the other common names that it has on down. I can tell you the Oregon Vortex is a mini black hole because I flew over it with a PBY at 18,000 feet and was measuring with an interferometer what curves space in light at 18,000 feet. See, that so-called ley lines, that's what I was doing for the military in the 70s. In the 80s, I created my own wormhole and took 12 scientists from NASA to Mars. You can't travel in normal space. I was in mission control in 1971. What do you think I'm learning? Yeah. So I know I don't know. But I could say that our future management in Earth is just as weird, even way more. We'll call them Homo mutant. How's that one? And I wrote another screenplay about Homo lumen. That's an interesting concept. But basically, X-Files. Why I did the workup, they said there were too many people. They weren't sure that alien, they weren't sure that 8 individuals were going to go as a screenplay. So what they did is they had me shorten it down into 2. And so I had to throw one in with forensics and one with his imagination. And off they went with 2, Scully. And but I can tell you what happened was after the 8 episode and it started to go well, then they wanted me to move to Hollywood. And I'd already done a tour with swingers. I don't need to do that. That's not what I do. I'm a moral man. How did Ducky Mallard put that? An ethical man knows not to cheat on his wife. A moral man won't. Same thing with purpose and intent. They're different. And I walked away. I don't care if it was a fortune or not. I didn't want to play. I don't want to play with Hollywood. Now they're in trouble because of what's happening now with AIs. They're going to start marketing plays that are written by artificial intelligence. Watch what happens to Hollywood then. Yeah. Anyway,
is this all part of the new shift, the new paradigm that people have been talking about for years?
Yeah. Imagine you don't have to do anything but lay in bed, eat your Dorito corn chips. How did Jay Leno put it? Oh, don't worry, we'll make more. You don't do anything because your robot vacuums under your bed and scratches your back where it may itch. Tonight into Jane and Fitch played in Romeo, 14 decks, Punch and Judy, champion decks. That's my memory, and I can tell you, yeah, I have an eidetic memory. That's the bad and good news. Thank you, Lord. Once I see something, I've got it forever. I can close my eyes 20 years from now and see between your white hair that one mole. And which one? Just kidding. But I know we wouldn't want to get too serious here. We want to keep this light because I think we're going to be witnessing the end of an epoch, which is okay in the sense that death is not what you think it is, and so it isn't going to be a terrible thing necessarily. It's just definitely going to be traumatic.
Well, what is death then? If it's not what we think, Rich.
I don't know. I haven't done it. I spent 2 weeks in the jungles with Eben Alexander, and talking about him being, a little fly on his thing, and his dead sister talking to him, and things like that. I can tell you that reincarnation isn't real any more than several of the studies I did for the military way back when included other kinds of life forms that intercrop with humans. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's shapeshifters. There's one down here in Oregon that's over 400 years old. You have Wendigo up in Canada. Yeah. There's all kinds of different entities. What about the Dalai Lama? Is a little boy saying, no, I didn't wear that hat, I wore that hat. Can you do that? Who can do that? Mm-hmm. Well, obviously something that's not quite. They've done videos, movies. Denzel Washington did one with a demon that jumped from one person to another.
I remember that movie, yeah.
Yeah, and then another one he did was the one that I'm most interested in, like Nomads. That was Pierce Brosnan. Yep. Where he was, there's these entities that come out at night. They're not human and they're kind of like something else. That was called Nomads, and that's a worthwhile watch because grandfather Joseph Montagua, who was Hopi, had what we call a rider on him. That's a recorder. How did I find out about that one? It started with the death of Jim Morrison in Paris. he didn't actually die. And one of the projects that'll be in a book I write called Spook Central, if I'm allowed to finish my writings before I turn into a worm casing. Basically, Jim Morrison entered the crossroads when he was 10 years old, when grandfather Joseph Montangua died. He was a Hopi medicine man. I got a pipe from Thomas Banaka when I was doing that study, because what made him different was that he had a neutral entity that is basically a recorder that goes from one person to the next to continually record what's going on in history. And Montangua was a Hopi medicine man, but he had this entity that was with him, didn't interfere or do anything different, it's just recording. And when he died, Jim Morrison was the closest person to him, and that got transferred over to his body. And how I found out about that is Jim Morrison didn't die in Paris. He was smuggled out of Paris by this Swedish Secret Service. I have CIA letterhead that I'll be including in my book for validation photos and things like that. And I went and found a fat Jim Morrison working for a laser company down in New Orleans. I don't know if he's dead now, but if he is, then someone else has got that writer. When he dies, it transfers over to the nearest entity that's a certain age and something like that. I don't know how that all works. These are different kinds of life forms that intercross. Like we have weeds or something.
All right, Richard, stand by, my friend. We've got to take our next break. Exonation. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is my guest. www.richardallenmiller.com. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and the good doctor and I return after this very short break. Don't go away. Explanation, Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our guest. His website is richardallenmiller.com. Richard, there are those who believe that we live in a holographic, existence.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That was a field theory I came up with 50 years ago. I was working with old man DuPont in Wilmington, and I looked at walking down the hall, and there was this open door, and I saw a three-dimensional color TV. That was Gabor. He had, where is that in our marketplace? I saw it. Yeah. And that's, Gabor got a Nobel Prize in 1972, 1 month before I actually wrote the field theory on the holographic universe. And today, I'm writing a brand new field theory to supersede that my mentor, Stan Krippner, thinks is going to take me to Stockholm. Stay tuned, who knows? What I do know is they made a breakthrough, 2 Russian biologists made a breakthrough on the proton cloud, and the DNA as a resonant cavity oscillator, quoting from papers of mine that I wrote in 1973 that would have taken me to the Stockholm, except after Gabor went in 72, except that my work was then classified immediately as top secret. I presented 2 papers in Claremont. That was the one on embryonic holography as DNA as a resonant cavity oscillator, and the other was Project Paraphile, the first demonstration of an AI. And they weren't interested in that one. They were interested in the embryonic holography, which was not released until 1992. And 2 Russian scientists at that time, Gary Iev and Popov, were quoting from that and got nominated for a Nobel Prize. And there are the 2 that are quoting from that were students under them, and they're down in Max Rempel and several others. That they're quoting from my literature from 1992 that was released that I wrote in 1972. And when they came up to interview me, this concept of the proton cloud was so enlightening that I got interested and was able, and blah, blah, blah. And what happened next was they don't have the math I do. I'm a polymath. And it started tumbling in on me. I'm going to be using a virtual form of Kaufman's knot theory. There are, basically, you take string theory, which has got 10 strings, and an 11th, which acts as a wormhole or interconnecting of the 10. And then I'll be your little Boy Scout tying knots in them. That's what knot theory is about. And Kaufman's thing talks about the multiverse. The multiverse is the space between when a proton is a particle and when it becomes a wave. And that's where your multiverse lies, and all the different possibilities of what you did by forgetting to send me a link and I wasn't able to do my show tonight, and how many worlds and universes got affected by that, and how it changed. Right. Well, that's what the multiverse is. All the things you didn't do that made you God's favorite choice.
Okay, but where does the holographic?
Because the holographic was based on information, and see, quantum mechanics had space and time as your measurement units.
Right.
And what happens is when you take an analog system and you digitize it, you increase uncertainty. The more you know, Heisenberg, the more you know about one thing, the less you know about something else. You can't get there from here using space and time. They're constructs, they're not real. So I came up with the concept, information, let's do that. And that was on fractal mathematics. Mendelbrot, Julia, or a May generator creates on the way information collapses down in itself or expands in itself. And we had a way of describing strings and the 10 dimensions. Well, what happens is there's an axiom in our postulate in information theory that states simply, if you have enough information to ask a coherent question, you have enough information to answer it. The framing of the way you ask the question is where the answer lies. And so that sets up another kind of uncertainty. You can't get there from here. You can get close. Simon says you can go halfway to the door. So it's based on the limitation of our ability to conceptualize. That's why chapter 8 in the non-local mind is called the mind's eye, where imagination is reality. If you can see it in your mind's eye, that's what makes it real, not my mouth.
All right, stand by, Richard. We have to take a final break, and Dr. Richard Allen Miller and I return as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario. Now, if you'd like to find out more about Dr. Miller and his books, of which we're going to be talking about his books when we come back, visit his website, richardallenmiller.com. I'll be back with Dr. Miller. Don't go away.
So I was watching the X-Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com.
simultv.com.
Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our special guest. Go ahead, Rich.
How do I get on that? I'd like to see that TV. It looks like it's going to be fun.
It is.
Yeah, nice fun. Nice going.
Thanks, Rich. The time goes by so fast when you're with us. How can we wrap up the conversation when it comes to what to look for when it comes to the bad news?
I think that everybody should begin a victory garden right now. No matter what else is going to happen, food is going to become. No matter what else is going to happen, food is going to become your primary expense, not housing. You can count on it. Okay, that's a given. And just a little indoor aquaculture system, size of your bed with lights above it, a closet, less than a closet size, is enough to feed 10 people all winter.
Wow.
They're very efficient now. The LED lighting is each crop, broccoli, cauliflower, have their own bandwidth of light that they require. And so not only are they extremely limiting and functional that way, normal lighting, 90% of it's less than heat. These are run for essentially nothing. They're easy to run. You can have a bicycle power, just riding a bicycle will power up your generator for a couple of hours.
Now, Richard, is all this information in your new book?
Yes, well, I'm writing lots of books. Here, check this one out. The one I'm writing now is The Diamond Body, then it'll be Electromagic and Yogatronic. That's part of the Diamond Body series. Now, the Diamond Body is when I moved the Manager Foundation in Topeka, Kansas, to the University of Washington and added video feedback to it, creating cymatics concept and how light and sound affect human behavior. Then, in 1979, I used Mora and Indomet, German acupuncture equipment on the top of the forehead to bypass the need to take mushrooms or drugs. Drugs are basically toxins, but they have a chemistry that's very similar to, but slightly different than your neurotransmitter. And it's your immune system that freaks out and overproduces lysergic acid amides that take the LSD, dialthomide, it's gone. And then 20 hours of hallucination is directly related to which neurotransmitter is released. That's in 79 I did that. And then I could create any high using electric currents on the forehead. And then I took a bunch of scientists to Mars, creating my own wormhole by using sacred geometry from the first study and the electromagic from the other test, specifically release exact, precise neurotransmitter that created the wormhole.
But let me ask you this, Richard, because time is going by very fast. If you were able to take 10 scientists from Earth to Mars and then Mars to back without all the things that NASA has to do, why doesn't NASA just listen to you? And
they are the astronauts when Ed Mitchell went around the moon, just the reason they have this precision on countdown 5, 4, the reason they do that is they have to punch a hole through the Van Allen belt to get the astronaut through it, or you have a Challenger event. Page 2. Just going around the moon and back Mitchell's never going to have children again. His lifespan has been reduced to almost half. And going down, space, as we understand space, is toxic. There's no way we could go to Mars and back. All experiments that way, using normal space, kills people. So you have to go a different way. And that's like astral projection, remote viewing, and or Shabbat, soul travel. You know, like Paul Twitchell and your people up at Kankar, that kind of group, or Satangi. And there's other wormholes. There are all different kinds of them. And that's what I discovered, because your brain is a subtle body like your gut that dialogues with subtle bodies outside the physical. That's your multiverse. And I watched a woman rip a car door off once to save her daughter in a flaming automobile. Now that's impossible. The adrenaline didn't make her body and bone and muscle stronger than steel. How could she do that? Well, the model I'm using was not her from this universe. It was her from a different universe where the laws of physics are different. And everybody, that's how I'm going to be doing the next level of trying to explain paranormal phenomena. Page 7 on that. I'm guessing there will never be a theory of everything, because we're not getting closer to understanding things. We're getting better.
Richard, you and I have to say so long for tonight, but listen, buddy, I want you to come back. I really enjoy listening to you. And I want to thank you for all the great work that you've done over the years and how you've contributed your lifetime to mankind. Once again, Exonation, Dr. Richard Allen Miller has been my guest this hour. Visit his website, buy his books. The man is a living legend. And oh yes, you are. Come on, you're too modest. www.richardallenmiller.com. And I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone after the news at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past. Right here. Don't go away.
Question: what is the name of the unique blend of coffee you get that has been formulated by a neurologist, a neurobiologist, and a pharmaceutical chemist? Answer: you get Beautiful Mind Coffee, a unique coffee blend that tastes great and has herbal ingredients that your brain will love, and it is not just coffee, it's brainalicious. Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, the scientific team that created Beautiful Mind Coffee, decided to collaborate on a coffee focusing on brain health. As for those herbal ingredients found in Beautiful Mind Coffee, Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, utilizing their combined extensive scientific research background, worked with many natural and herbal products until the exact formulation that is found in Beautiful Mind Coffee was created. With a unique scientific formula not found in any other coffee being sold or served, Beautiful Mind Coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Every cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee contains scientifically formulated amounts of maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng, all supporting good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Did you know that cognitive dysfunction also refers to deficits in attention, verbal and nonverbal learning, short-term and working memory, visual and auditory processing, problem-solving, processing speed, and motor functioning? For more on Beautiful Mind Coffee, the 3 scientists who formulated Beautiful Mind Coffee, and more details on the 3 unique herbal ingredients in Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available online at amazon.ca and amazon.com. To order Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca today.